The soil of Russia is a forge of souls, a vast expanse where the steel of a people has been tempered by the relentless hammers of invasion and internal strife. Born of fire and frost, the Russian spirit remains an unbreakable monolith, standing defiant against the tides of history. Today, Russia commands a titan's share of the globe, yet even this massive reach is but a shadow 3/4 the size of the colossal Russian Empire that once dominated the 19th century. To understand how a besieged land transformed into a global hegemon, we must look back 7 centuries, to an age when the precursors of the empire knelt in the dust of Mongol subjugation. In the 13th century, Eastern Europe was a fractured mosaic of principalities, shackled by the tribute demanded by the Mongol Golden Horde. Amidst this servitude, the Grand Duchy of Muscovy began its quiet, calculated ascent, absorbing its neighbors until the Mongols themselves appointed Muscovy as their regional steward. But the lion cannot be leashed forever. In 1480, under the iron resolve of Grand Prince Ivan III, the Muscovites rose in righteous rebellion, shattering the Mongol yoke and carving out their independence. The year 1547 marked a thunderous turning point. Grand Prince Ivan IV, known to history by the formidable epithet, the Terrible, ascended the throne. With a blood-soaked hand, he crushed the fractious nobility, dismantling the decaying feudal system to consolidate absolute, autocratic power. Caesar was the title he claimed, and Tsar was the word that echoed across the plains. Under his reign, Russia's borders exploded outward, seizing over 1.5 million square miles. Yet, greatness is often haunted by tragedy. Upon his death in 1584, having slain his intended heir in a fit of rage, Ivan left the crown to his son Theodore. When Theodore died childless, Russia plunged into the time of troubles, a dark epoch of famine and political chaos. Deliverance arrived in 1613 when a grand council of nobles and peasants elected Michael Romanov as Tsar, birthing a dynasty that would guide Russia back from the abyss. It was Michael's grandson, Peter, a man of gargantuan stature and even larger vision, who would finally forge the empire. Tutored by Western minds and inspired by his great embassy to Europe, Peter returned with a fire to modernize. Impressed by the shipyards of the Dutch and the planned majesty of London and Paris, he set out to drag Russia into the light of the new age. He founded St. Petersburg upon the Baltic marshes, a window to the west built of stone and ambition, serving as the empire's new heart and trading pulse. Peter the Great was not merely a builder, but a conqueror. In the Great Northern War, 1700 to 1721, he humbled the Swedish lion, stripping Sweden of its status as a great power. In the triumphant wake of this victory, he formally declared Russia an empire. He instituted the Table of Ranks, a revolutionary meritocracy that allowed commoners to rise through service to the state, ensuring that talent, not just blood, fueled the imperial engine. The mantle of greatness later passed to Catherine the Great, a sovereign of immense intellect who sought to infuse the Enlightenment into the Russian soul. Under her scepter, the empire reached its zenith, reclaiming Crimea from the Ottomans, partitioning Poland, and even casting its shadow across the seas to Alaska. But the wheel of fate turns for all. By 1796, as Catherine passed, the storm clouds of Napoleon began to gather, a conflict that would see Moscow burn and the first cracks appear in the imperial facade. The 19th century was a long, slow sunset for the Romanovs. Despite the glory of defeating Napoleon, the empire struggled to breathe in the changing winds of technology and philosophy. The Crimean War laid bare the rot of a stagnant bureaucracy and a demoralized military. In 1861, Emperor Alexander II made a desperate bid for progress by emancipating the serfs, but the transition left millions in squalid poverty, living in cramped huts on mere kopecks. The death knell began with the humiliating defeat in the Russo-Japanese War of 1905, igniting a precursor to the fires of revolution. The final, fatal blow was the First World War. By 1917, the strain became unbearable. The army mutinied, the factories fell silent, and the streets bled with unrest. Tsar Nicholas II abdicated his throne, and by 1918, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk ended Russia's involvement in the Great War at a staggering cost of human life. Though the flames of civil war would rage for 4 more years, the verdict of history was clear. The magnificent, terrible, and transcendent empire of Peter the Great had vanished into the annals of time.